Okay, so we're going to go through GDOT's T intersection civil sales. These sales are modular or component based. So basically, you've got the pieces of an intersection, and you just place which sales you need. And, you basically start off with this basic T, urban or rural, or the overlay and widen. So you got two reconstruction sales and then new construction here. So you start off with one of those. We're going to place the basic T urban first. And then basically after that, you got a few other cells you can place. So if you need an island on the left side of the intersection, you place it. If you need one on the right side, if you need a single island, you place it. So we've got three island cells. Turn lane cells. We've got urban exit and entrance, and a rural entrance and a rural exit. So basically, if you need a turn lane, you add a turn lane after making room for it. In other words, after scooting this curve here over 12 feet, you could come in and add a turn lane urban exit. All right, and then we've got a couple of more cells, the median nose, which we'll demonstrate that in this video. The median turn lane, I don't know if we'll demonstrate this, but it's a 2D cell only. I think about the only 2D cell we're delivering in this workspace, but basically what you do is place it. You could hook it up to that median nose, and then basically you would just come in and drop the cell and add point controls on your secondary road corridor where you target that median edge of pavement or those median edge of pavement lines there. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to choose the basic T urban. We're going to place it. Then just kind of going through the prompts: through road edge of pavement, profiled, and then secondary road center line, profile 75 feet man. That's that. We'll talk about that 75-foot man in just a little bit. So, all right. So this direction of arrows. So the geometry looks good. So I would actually not do anything here at all. I wouldn't try to change the direction of arrows because the geometry looks good. So I would reset and then reset again and then accept that cell. So, but I want to talk about this direction of arrows. So those direction of arrows need to be in the direction that these reference elements. In other words, that cell was built on a through road edge of pavement and a secondary road center line, and it was built on through road going from left to right, and the secondary road center line going away from your through road there. Now, it might not be the case that you're placing this on, so you could be placing this on an alignment going from right to left, and your secondary road going toward this. So if that's the case, probably what's going to happen is you'll get some geometry that looks like that initially. It just doesn't look right. So, what you got to do would be reverse these direction of arrows there by hovering over and left clicking. All right, so that's kind of how you go through that process. You about have to know which direction of arrows these need to be. The only way really I know to determine that, unless you got a printout or where you've gone in and looked to see, you basically have to go into this Civil Cell DGN Live and open the profile view. I guess for the end user, the best way is if that geometry doesn't look right, I would take a look at changing this direction of arrows there. But this looks good. In this particular case, I wouldn't have changed that direction of arrows. I just wanted to do that so y'all could kind of see what I'm doing there, or when you're faced with some geometry that doesn't look right, one of the first things you want to try is to change the direction of the arrows. All right, so we're going to reset, select corridor should be clipped. Now I could select that corridor there and allow it to clip, but for these intersections, I really want to get rid of the sidewalk going through this intersection too. So I'm going to actually, clip doesn't remove the 2D geometry, at least in this current version it doesn't. So what I'm going to use is a template display rule to cut off the curb and gutter and the sidewalk going through that intersection. All right, so we're not going to clip. So I'll reset and accept that cell. Okay, and the cell looks pretty good 2D and looks pretty good 3D. You know, like I said, we didn't clip, so it didn't get rid of this sidewalk and end conditions going through the intersection. We'll do that here shortly. So next we're going to actually go over horizontal and vertical edit. Okay, so like I said, we're going to go through horizontal edits next. So your primary elements on the cell, the first elements built in the cell was this purple center line right there, and then also these purple lines there. And quite honestly, these are, you know, really what you're looking for here are these purple elements are really critical. That's why they show up as a different color that kind of stands out there. And like I said, they're primary control elements. So if I wanted to edit this radius, and what I'm fixing to do is I'm fixing to scoot this thing over, make room for a turn lane, add a turn lane cell. I'm going to increase this radius value also to about 85 feet. And then we're probably going to make this other side, instead of a simple curve, we're going to make it a two-center curve. That's kind of what I'm fixing to do. So what you can't do, so you can't push your PC point past the end of this element here. So before I were, so if I were to change this to 85 feet, just to kind of show you what I'm talking about, if I change that to 85 feet, I'm push that PC past the end of this, you can see what happens. Right? I basically kind of lost my cell there. It's kind of, it's still intact. It's just this geometry has to work, right? So and really with this editing process, that's what you got to look for is going through an editing. Well, if I see that, well, I'm gonna probably hit an undo and try to figure out why that edit did what it did. Well, I know this particular one, it kind of corrupted that cell, or basically just messed up the geometry because I pushed that PC point back past that. And you can't do that going that way. You can't do it going this way, right? So if I'm wanting to make that a 85 foot radius, I might as well come on in. The first edit I'm going to make is I'm going to come in and change this to 125 or maybe even 150. 125 should work. Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and make that 125, and I'm gonna actually, I need to do the same. It's, over here it's also 75 feet. Since that's an interval, I can't edit that. And I could drive down over here, right, and go to right there and change that length. But you can also come in and where that element's been trimmed, so you can right click, and there's that turn lane control element right there. You can grab the trim part, which is the parent of the interval, right? That's what you're grabbing. And you can come in and grab that length, and we're going to change that to 125 also. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing on this other side. So right click, choose the turn lane control, and extend that to 125 as well. Okay. And then really, I think the first edit here I'm going to make, like I said, we'll clean this intersection up here. So I'll tell you what, we might just go ahead and clean this up. So to clean that area up, I'm going to go in, go to corridors. I'm going to go to corridor objects. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to back up just a little bit more. I'm going to turn on construction class. And I'm going to really just show you what I'm fixing to do here. So if I go to hit edit on the through road corridor, you see these intersection left, intersection right. So if I actually test and move this intersection left point, you see what happens there. So it's turning off my curb and gutter, my sidewalk, my shoulder, sidewalk, all my end conditions, right? All right, so if I double click this point, you see that INT underbar L. That means I can use the INT underbar L and to change this value, which is initially set at 0, But if I change that to -1, what that's going to do is, so if I come back in corridor objects and go add a parametric constraint with the intersection left set to -1, it's going to turn all this off. And then similar to the right side, go over here and test, that turns everything off there. Alright, let me just hit cancel there. Alright, so that's really what I'm fixing to do here. I'm going to go to corridor objects, I'm going to select that corridor, and then you can kind of watch this happen over here, but I'm going to go to parametric, I'm going to say add new, then we're going to choose intersection left. We're going to set that to -1, -1. And then basically I'm just come in and do a snap to that PC. And I got to make sure I'm going the correct way here. So yeah, so that's your start, that's your lower station. This is your higher station over here. That PT or PC. And then just confirm these prompts. And it'll take a second for it to process, but you'll see this sidewalk and end conditions all cleared up. Okay. Once that's clear, now there's some gaps there. Well, what you'll end up doing, you'll come in and add some key stations. And we'll do this later in this video. We'll add a key station just outside that point there. Probably about 100th outside of that PC. And it'll close up that gap, and then do the same thing down here to close up this gap there. Alright, so we're going to move back to some of these horizontal edits. So I think what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to come in and grab this turn lane control, and I'm going to actually just come in and grab that offset handler and just scoot this a little bit over and data point. Because what I'm doing, I'm making room for a turn lane down here. Alright. And so now if I come in here and select that, you can see that's a negative. So we know the direction now is -5 is what it says right now. I'm going to change that to -12, so I have a full turn lane width out there. Okay. And then I'm going to also go ahead on this, I'm going to go ahead and just turn off construction class. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to add a turn lane cell in just a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and actually make this edit to this element here. I'm going to actually make that radius value 80 feet. Okay. All right, now actually that actually cleared up, you know, when I changed that snap for that parametric constraint I added a while ago was holding up. It doesn't do that always, so you may have to come back in and change the stations for that parametric where your actual intersection is, but that worked good there. Alright, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to actually come in and show you how to, if you want to change this fillet, so you know, that fillet's part of a complex, so I really can't choose it there, but if I come in and select that, and I go to fillet here, what I want to do is add a back taper here. So I'm going to come in and set the back taper to length offset. Actually, I'm going to leave that alone. I'm just going to I'm going to come in and add a back transition. So we're actually just going to, so the back, you could add a back taper. I'm not doing that though. I'm going to come in and add a back transition here. So to do that, I'm going to set it to curve. So in other words, I'm going to do like I said earlier. I'm going to make this, instead of a simple curve, a two-center. Then I'm going to go with a 125-foot radius there. And then I'm going to go with a Oh, 75-foot length there. Let's see what this does. Maybe a little too long. Okay. Actually looks okay there. So I may, just to kind of get these PC points kind of opposite and equal, I may also increase this to like a 55 feet. Okay. All right, so not exactly opposite and equal, but I'm good with that. So you can see how easy it is to add. So you can make that simple curve a 2-centered, a 3-centered, and you can add tapers too, right? So if we look at that fillet, you can add tapers and add a curve on your back and your head transitions there. That's kind of the way to do that. One other horizontal edit. It's kind of vertical too. But if we look at this element here, you can see the slope, -2%. So basically what we can do with these elements, and if you'll watch, I'm fixing to lengthen this. But when I do, so if I come in and change that 20 feet to, I'll say 60, right? I don't know if you saw that, but that's a break line in your surface here. So when I change that, if you'll watch right here, if I change that to 70 feet, right, it takes that triangulation goes with it. So what that's allowing you to do is really just to push your 2% slope further down, if that's what you're at coming in here. I'm gonna come in and just change this one to like 40 feet here. 45. 50 to kind of even those up. Right, and so basically what it's doing, this break line in that terrain is, going all the way to this point, and then basically it's just floating out and tying in the edge of pavement after that. But that allows you to carry, a normal crown slope further down into these radius areas there. All right, so I think what we're going to do next, it's kind of the only other edits I really hadn't mentioned here would be this element right here, which that's your tangent back here. But you can, obviously, if you need to make that initially it's just set up for one lane each side, there and there, right? But if you had, if you had a 4-lane, 5-lane, you just click there and change that value to widen that to however many lanes you need, or whatever width you need. Now what you wouldn't want to do, you wouldn't want to change that value right there, because what that's going to do is actually put a taper. So to change this and make it stay parallel, you got to edit that middle value right there. All right, so let's go ahead next and let's place this turn lane civil cell. So we're going to go to back to model detailing, place civil cell. Come in and choose the turn lane. This is going to be a rural urban exit right here is what we're going to use. So turn lane, urban exit. This is pretty easy to place, not a lot of refs. So it wants the through road, edge of pavement, profile a minimum of 150 feet from the turn lane. So you need at least 150 feet out here. So I'm going to come in and just select the edge of pavement. And then it wants a data point at the storage lane start. So I'm going to come in and just snap to that PC right there, because that's where I want my storage lane to start, right? And then data point to confirm that. And that geometry looks good. I can see that storage lane. I can see that taper. So we'll reset and accept that civil cell. Okay, so what I am going to have to do, it added that turn lane, but this through road, the sidewalk end conditions are still there. So I'm going to have to change the upper limit of that parametric constraint and take it to the end of the taper. All right, we'll go ahead and tell you what, before we do that, I'm going to talk about just your horizontal edits right here. So if I wanted to change that, initially it's a 75-foot storage lane, 75-foot taper. So if I want to change that, make that 100 there, you just got to come in and grab that. If I want to change that from 75 to 100, and I'll just key that in, hit enter, and now I have a 100-foot storage lane there. Alright, now let's go ahead and clean that area up. I'm not going to make any more edits. I will mention that if we look at the slope initially, 2% slope over there to that. And we'll get more into vertical profiles in a little bit. Alright, so I am going to go to corridors, objects, construction, choose that. We're going to go to parametric, and we're going to change that end station there and change it to where we're right down here. So right there. And so what you should see now is that sidewalk and the shoulder and all that gone in that area. Just going to take just a second for it to process. Alright, so we've got a pretty nice looking intersection other than the gaps in there. We'll talk about those a little bit later. Okay, so I think what we're going to do next is a pretty decent overview of the horizontal edit. So I think we're going to actually go place an island cell next. We're going to place the island right. And then just kind of follow the prompts here. I think I'm going to actually just choose this edge of pavement right here, right there. Secondary road edge of pavement. So I'm going to choose this interval right there. And then it wants the curve EP, that would be that. Alright, that geometry actually looks good, so we'll reset and accept that cell. Alright, as far as edits, horizontal edits, just turn off construction class and we'll come in and just select that edge of pavement there. And then basically, this is where the edits are pretty straightforward. I would actually come in, if I want to make this skewed here, I would make that, if I want to make that -8. You see I've got a skewed island now. And if I want to make this a little bigger, I'm going to just make this like 15 feet. And do the same here. Okay, so that's basically the edits there. I mean, only other horizontal edit that I had made would be like the nose. You want to change the nose, you just grab that radius value there. As far as vertical, initially this thing is, so if I come in and choose this and went and looked at this complex element, 2%, positive 2%, and then another negative. So basically it's negative, negative, and then positive 2% initially. But we need to get this setting on the exactly on the, you can kind of see right in this area here. It's not setting on top of that terrain, and that's really where we want it to set. So we've got to reprofile this. So I'm going to come in and go to geometry. I'm going to just open the profile model of that element there. Alright, so we can see that initial profile, which is right there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to reprofile this. I'm going to come in and do a profile from surface. I'm going to choose the edge of pavement, reset, and then locate the reference surface. So that's going to be this. So we'll come over here. Quite honestly, you could probably, you really don't want to choose the surface template here. You want to choose a terrain. There's actually 2 terrain models here. And most of the time when I'm selecting those, I'll just kind of zoom in right here on the, make sure I can kind of see an edge. Alright, and then so, let me do this one more time. Alright, so element to profile. And then the terrain. So like I said, there's 2 terrain models. So we're going to right click, and we're going to choose the 4 profile and islands terrain. And then we'll reset, and then horizontal vertical offset 0. We'll just lock that start, lock the end. So just go through all the prompts now. Right, you see that new profile. And if we'll zoom in, when I make this profile active, it's going to should hop that island up on top of that surface there. Okay. All right. The reason we've got 2 terrains, we've got one to place the surface on, and we've got another for profile and island. So the first one I mentioned, that carries the surface template here. That's actually called pavement surface. That's the terrain name. The other terrain is called for profile and islands. And it's there for what it says. It's to profile any islands you place, or medians, or anything like that. Anything placed on the surface, you want to use it for profile and islands. And then basically what you can do, you can actually come back. So if I were to come in and just do I'll look at this cross-section view, and I'm going to just, I think I'm going to just open the cross-section view of just along that corridor there. Click in this view. And we'll show you what I'm fixing to do next is clip this area out here. So if we'll just move up in these cross-section stations, I just want to get to right there where you can kind of see that area there. So what I'm going to do next is actually go to the terrain model tools, and I want to go to feature management, add features, and I'm going to add a void. So select the terrain model to add elements. That's going to be the pavement surface. So not the for profile and island. So we'll right click the pavement surface terrain, and then locate the element to add. That's where I'm going to come in and select not the cell, but I'll right click and grab the road edge of pavement. I'm not sure if I got that right one. Let me try that one more time. So add features, right click, grab pavement surface. I'm going to just turn off construction class. I'm going to come in and grab that element. And reset and add it as a void. And then if we'll just kind of move back and forward, you can see how we've come in and clipped that terrain model there. And really the reason you got to have 2 is if you can't profile off a terrain and then go clip it, because it creates a circular reference or a circular dependency, or however you want to say that. But that's the issue with having one terrain there. So that's pretty much it with the island. We're going to talk about a little bit more about vertical profiles next. So I really think what I'm going to do is just rotate this view. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go in and grab this terrain model. I may have to rotate again. So that for surface. And then I'm going to come in and just turn on my flow arrows here. And so basically what that allows me to do, it allows me to kind of look and see how the water's draining here. So everything looks pretty good on this side. If I go over and look at this side, you can actually see I've got water's kind of going okay right in here, but as I get further down in this area right there, you can see water's going back toward the intersection. So what I'm going to do is, as far as profile, is I'm going to actually come in and open this. And then I'm going to just come in and regrade this or change. Actually, I'm not going to do the whole element there. I just want to grab the fillet. So I'm going to grab that, and then I'm going to open the profile model of the fillet. You can see it starts here, goes this way. So we want a little deeper right in this area right here, right? So I'll just kind of quickly go in there and do probably just use the profile complex by VPI. And then I'm going to come in and curve length, I'm going to set it to like about 30 feet. But, so we got a tie there, but I'm going to come in and just kind of go down like this. And I'm going to come in and snap up there. And then reset. And then I'm going to just make that active. So I'm going to just click that. Make it the active profile. Well, what it's going to do is going to undisplay those arrows once it processes. So I'll have to go back and choose that. Well, it's kind of hard to ground that. You could go through Project Explorer and get, go into Civil Cell, but occasionally I can't change going that route. Occasionally I can't turn those flow arrows on there. So if we look at this now, you can actually see I think we're better here, but we're still not. We still got some water ponding right in this area there. So if I open that back up, well, really what I might do is just come back in, something like that. Alright, one more time, we'll go choose this terrain model. Sometimes it's hard to grab it. There's your pavement surface, there's flow arrows. And you see we're starting to look better there now with those arrows there. So it's just kind of a quick way you can review your drainage area right there. If we needed a curb cut or something right in this area, we could, we know where that needs to be now. Everything else vertical, we've kind of already gone over some of this. So if we were to choose that element, you can see it's profile negative 2%, right? So that means that point there is 2%. Any of these elements you can reprofile as needed. We mentioned this taper curve taper, negative 2%. So it's really just a matter of coming in, and if you're in super elevation, really all this really controls that 2% would be, but it's really a little bit more than that. You want to get your super right in here, And you're really going to be using project slopes, either the profile by slope or the variable slope from element. So that's how you're going to reprofile that element there. And it's really those two commands. There's no way to apply super elevation, through the corridor process in this civil cell. In the corridor process, you can come in and apply super elevation, right? So assign the corridor. You can't do it to this civil cell really because it's a surface template, right? That's why we can't. It's a terrain model that's modeling this entire area. And I'll be honest, generally what I do, one more edit. Once I do the editing on these on your curves here and all that, generally what I do is come in and I actually come in here and change the end distance. And I can change the station, I can grab that. But generally I come back in and, I get just beyond that, and I'm not going to take the time in this video to figure out that exact station. I'll just come back and just data point right there. That didn't move it. Let's see what will. Maybe it's this one. Like I say, you don't want to get inside that PC, and that's really where I'd probably use Civil AccuDraw to figure out exactly what station that is and stay just maybe 100th outside of it, of your PC that's furthest out. And then really from this point forward, or this point this way, I'm going to just, place another corridor model from here and model all that with my secondary road corridor. All right, so let's go through and place, and we're going to place one more cell here. Going back to modeling, place civil cell. All right, so we'll come in and we're going to choose the median node cell, so I'll say OK. And then the prompt says choose the CC centerline control element. Well, that's actually that element right there. So we're telling you exactly what to choose there. Choose that. And that geometry looks good, so I'll reset and accept that cell. Now I really hadn't made room here. It's still 12-foot lanes here, so I don't think I'm going to take the time to, right, we could change those values, make them wider if I wanted to, but I don't think I'm going to take the time to do it. But I really just want to show you a little bit about this cell. So if we choose this edge of pavement, you'll see that's where there's a 30 feet initially right here. So if I, once I look at turning movements and all that, if I need to scoot that back or up, I can just change this. I'm going to knock that back just 5 feet, like 35. And you'll see that nose move back. And if I wanted a flatter radius or something like that, you got the ability to make that change also. Right there, that 15-foot radius there. So if I want to make that 20, all right, I can do that. I can make this a little bit smaller, 2.5. All right, so that's really the methods you've got for editing that. As far as its location, initially 4 feet there, so you could change that. I'm not going to do it. And then you can also change this 4 foot also over here. So, all right, so that's how you move your median around, really, that element there, and then this other side right there. All right, as far as vertical, this is it's real similar to this island. You would want to profile this off the terrain called for profiling islands. I think the last thing I'm going to cover here is we'll just come in and add just a key station right here. So I'm going to go into corridors, and then we're going to go to edit, create key station, and I've got to turn construction class on, and then I'm going to come in and just really what I'm going to do is just do a hard snap there so I can see that station. I'm actually going to Control C to copy that, and then I kind of reset and kind of get out of that, but I've copied that station because I don't want to place that key station exactly at that point. I want to place it about 1/100th outside that point. So now I'm going to do a Control V to paste it, and then I want to be 1/100th below in this case. So I'll go just change that station that I copied, and then data point, and then you'll see this gap close up there. Okay. All right, so that's pretty much it. I'm going to create one more video that will actually go over placement of a reconstruction intersection, so or overlay and widening. So that'll be in a separate video.